Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this episode, in this video today, we're going to talk about probably the most popular carp fishing rig ever, pretty much, and that is the Ronnie Rig, or sometimes known as the spinner rig. However you want to dictate how you call it, it is what it is. It's a spinner rig essentially. So the mechanisms around the actual rig working is that it's a 360-degree rig, so no matter which way that the fish comes into the hook bait, doesn't matter which way it sucks it in, the idea is that the mechanics of the rig enable the hook point to spin and nail on that bottom lip, which is exactly what we all look for, slap bang in the middle. I'm going to try and break down making this rig in its simplest form so that it's easy to follow, so that you guys at home can make this rig, can follow this video, make it on your own, go out and have some success with it. Myself personally, this is the rig that I will fish 99% of the time, because I fish it on a helicopter style setup. In the coming videos I will make a specific video on the exact lead arrangement that I work with, which is the helicopter style. I find that for me, on the lakes that I fish, which are predominantly either weedy or very silty, the helicopter rig for me is the one that prevails. It means that I can fish it anywhere. So I will make another video based around the lead arrangement and how to splice your own leader and make your own lead setups and make your own helicopter rig. But today we're going to be talking about the actual hook length and the hook part of it, which is the Ronnie Rig, and I'll show you exactly what you need now. First things first then, we're going to need a pair of scissors. Okay, any pair of scissors will do. The next thing we're going to need is the Corda crimp tool. Okay, following that we're going to need a lighter. From there we're going to need a hook. Now for me personally, it's going to be the spinner hook. Okay, specifically designed for making a Ronnie rig. All right, following on from there then, we're going to need some hook link material. So for me it's going to be Corda boom. This is by far the best in my opinion. It's virtually translucent within the water once you drop it in. It's super strong and abrasive, all right, so it's not going to cut you off. But yeah, it's so easy to work with, so I highly recommend Corda boom. We're going to need a Ronnie swivel. Okay, so it's a swivel with a little hook on it. We're going to need 2 crimps from Corda. Okay, these are going to be really hard to see, but they're tiny little crimps. And then we're going to need a bait swivel. See that? We're going to need an anti-tangle sleeve. We're going to need a bait stop, and whatever you prefer, either a hook kicker or shrink tube, shrunk down on the hook, just to give it that aggressive turn. So first things first, all we're going to do then is we are going to grab our hook. Okay, so this is a size 6 spinner from Corda. All we're going to do from there is we're going to pop on our swivel for our bait, and we're going to pop on our bait screw. So not our bait screw, our bait stop. Pop that on. Once we've got our bait swivel on and our bait stop, we're going to be looking at something like that. Now, the way that I position my bait stop is going to be somewhere between the final curve on the hook and the point. That gives me the perfect amount of angle when it's sat on the lake bed. From there, I'm going to place my shrink tube over the hook itself. You can see that. And then I'm going to take my Ronnie swivel and I'm going to pop that through the eye of the hook, like so. And then from there, I'm going to slide the shrink tube back over. So once we've created our hook part of the rig, we're going to take our hook length material, so obviously the quarter boom, and this is the 25 pound version. We're going to take a length of that between 10 and 12 inches, take plenty, because if you do mess it up, you've always got stuff to work with, all right, and it's not that expensive. So we're going to take one of our crimps and we're going to thread it over the hook link, and we're going to just simply bring it back on itself to create a loop. Now, when creating this loop, I like to have it probably 1/2 inch long. Sure if you can see that, we're 1/2 inch long. All right, with not a lot of excess hanging out the back. We can always snip it off, but obviously if we can reduce the amount of time that we get scissors near our rig, it's obviously better in case we slip up and damage the line itself. Once we've done that, then we're just going to pop our crimp tool over the top of the crimp and simply crimp them shut. Snip off any excess, and now what we've got is a simple loop on the bottom. All right, this one is going to be used for connecting it to our leader setup. All right, we'll have a quick change swivel on there so we can just clip a new rig on straight away. The next thing we're going to do then is grab our hook, bring that to one side like so, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get the other crimp, we're just going to thread it through like so, and then we're going to grab the bottom of our hook, thread it through and bring it back on itself, back through the crimp, creating almost another loop, except this time we've got our rig or our hook trapped within that loop. Once we've finally found our desired length of rig, we're going to make sure that our loop at the bottom, there's enough give in there, okay? If we pull that crimp all the way up to the swivel, we're actually minimising the effectiveness of the rig. We obviously need as much movement in the end of this rig as possible, so it's important that we leave a small loop at the end as well, just enough room so that that swivel, the ring on the end of the swivel, could just move freely. It's not a bad thing to have too much movement at the bottom, all right? Once we've done that, then get the crimp in the crimp tool, and we're just going to compress it. And we're going to snip off our excess like so. We've done that. So now we have our absolute made up rig now. Okay. The other thing we need to do now is quickly shrink the shrink tube on the hook side of things. All right. Now, some of you may or may not know that you don't need steam to shrink tube. Okay. Obviously, on the bank, you're going to have the kettle going, so it's easy to just quickly get rigs shrunk or get bits of tubing shrunk. Okay. I'm going to share with you a little tip that you may or may not already know. If you don't, it's going to be a game changer. And I'm going to shrink this shrink tube with a lighter. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my line's out of the way. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to light the lighter, and I'm just going to briefly pass it underneath the rig itself. Okay, so as to not burn it. Okay, so brief passes, let it cool, let it cool, let it cool, like so. And that has shrunk the shrink tube in place. Obviously be careful when you're using a lighter, but that is how you create, in my eyes, the perfect Ronnie rig. All right, I've got a hook length there, a little bit longer than what I needed, to be fair. I'd probably go a little bit shorter than that. However, I will still use this. It's probably 7 or 8 inches. I wanted sort of 6 or 7. but for the purpose of the video, just going through the motions, I'll let you know how to create it, all right? I will still use this maybe on a more weedier venue or one of my more silty venues where I know the lead's just going to disappear. But this rig gives you the most amount of movement at the hook end, all right? And it's always going to sit an inch above whatever you're fishing over. Plenty of movement in the hook end. We've got plenty of strength in the line, okay? And we've got a nice simple loop at the end just to clip on new rigs every single time. My rig pouch is full of these, all right? Varying lengths from 4 inches all the way up to 8, all depending on what I fish over. So this is probably the most popular rig ever, I would say. I'm not going to beat around it. Spinner rig, Ronnie rig, however you want to call it. But this, it's just, if you fish it helicopter style, which is how I do it, you can fish anywhere. Even if it's a solid gravel bottom, fish it. If it's deep, deep silt, fish it. You know, loads of weed, can fish it. It's not a problem. Nothing to worry about. So this, I have so much confidence in this rig, and it's an absolute game changer when you can shrink it without a steamer. Because when I travel mobile, you know, like my stalking, I'm not in any one position for any great period of time. So I'm always moving around. For me to get the kettle out, start boiling up water, it takes time. So it's a nice little tip there with a lighter that you can take away. You may have already known it, but if not, it will be a game changer for you. Hopefully you've taken something away from this video. There's going to be more videos about some of the other rigs that I use, which will be designed specifically for certain bottoms of lakes, okay? This is obviously an all-round rig that I use if I'm fishing a new venue or the venues that I fish locally. So if you do like the content and you like what you're seeing, please comment below if there's anything that I can do with regards to videos or what you want to see from me. You know, if there's any specific rigs that you need to see, if there's any of my tackle that you'd like an in-depth review on, let me know. There will be some more reviews coming anyway. So yeah, like, subscribe, it helps the channel. Try and get to that 1,000 followers to start with, and then we'll go further from there, maybe 5, 10,000, who knows where it can go. But all I want to do on this channel is just share my knowledge. Obviously I've got over 20 years fishing experience, and I want to share that with you guys, and get everybody landing fish. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.